So it's up to you. It's all you, Rick.
Well, thanks for having me back. Sorry, I don't get a good distance on my camera here, but I want to update everybody on what's going on with the crossbow legislation. We do have two bills in, A1299 and S7747. Those don't give us full inclusion, but they do allow anyone 55 and older with to be able to use a crossbow through the entire season, bow season, whether or not they have disabilities. It allows anyone that's sick on their junior archery license, which is 12 to 6 through 15, to be able to use a crossbow during the entire bow season. It expands it changes the setback from the 250 feet that we have with crossbows to 150 feet as all other archery equipment. It does remove restrictions on width and draw weights. And it does not stop the current seasons we have in the northern zone, southern zone. For anyone between 16 and 54, they can still use the crossbow through that 2 weeks. Those people in that age range with any doctor certified disability is allowed to use a crossbow through the entire bow season. So it basically gives us everything except for full inclusion, bow license now instead of a muzzleloader privilege. And but it does leave a slot between 16 and 54 that they have to still only get the 10 days or 2 weeks, depending on where they live. It's not perfect. Some people say it's a good start. Some people say it's baby steps. Our good start was in 2014 when we were allowed to use crossbows, our foot in the door. 2014 when we were allowed to use crossbows at all in the archery season. This is beyond a baby step. This is a major step forward because it allows everyone, it advances crossbows for everyone, allowing all the modern technology crossbows and changes it where people wanting to use a crossbow, using a crossbow, have to have taken a bow class. There's a difference. Everyone here understands there's a difference in harvesting animals between bullets and broadheads. Totally different way you're harvesting the animal. It's hemorrhage versus shock. So we have a lot of support. We have over 20, we now have over 20 legislators signed on. I've heard his number is as high as 25 in the assembly. I don't know the official number at this point, but we had major support last year in the budget. The opposition to do crossbows is shrinking across the sportsman community and in the legislature. So I don't know if anybody has any questions of where we're at, what's going on, but that's the legislation. If anybody has anything they want to ask, feel free to jump in at any time.
Rick, what do you know about the sponsors? Bipartisan. I know the main sponsor for the main sponsor in both cases is a Democrat, correct? So
correct. We do need majority sponsors, which we have. We do have large majority or very broad bipartisan support for these bills. Now, we do know we have opposition, but we know that the opposition to Crossbows, the other organization, I don't like to mention their name, but they are, I will guarantee they are shrinking while we are growing. I believe we are the largest organization that is supported by bow hunters. Our group is over 80% or around 80% current and former bow hunters. And the 2021 membership number was around just over 1880, right around 1,880 members. Looking at financial records, we far exceed the opposition because everybody has to rate or put on their tax forms what your income is for membership, and ours exceeds theirs 2 to 3-fold. So I know they're shrinking. I know we're growing. They're living on a 40-year legacy, and I don't like to harp on that. I like to harp on the positives that the membership and the people, the sportsmen, really are pushing for this. They support it vastly, very large numbers. This year's push is to get people to put, we've been asked by legislators, bill sponsors, to submit a 20 or 30-second, 1-minute maximum video, basically stating who they are, where they're from, and that how long they bow hunted, and that they support crossbows in the archery season. There is way too much false narrative still spread in Albany that bow hunters do not support crossbows. And that is where the individual videos, the bill sponsors can take to legislators in a one-on-one conversation and show them, here are videos from bow hunters that support this. The more of those we have, the better they are. They're not going to show anybody 50, 100, hopefully 1,000 videos. But if they can pick 2 or 3 out and show these legislators, and then show them the catalog of the library of all those that support this, and let them pick whatever they want randomly. If the theme is the same, no matter where they click, then it shows that we are controlling the narrative. We have the support and the majority, except it's hard to get people to commit to doing a video. I believe that could push us over the top.
Rick, this is Bill Hollister. I talked with Jeremy Hurst a couple of weeks ago in reference to a number of things, including crossbows. And he indicated that one of the major problems has been to get the legislative bills out of committee. The committee, I assume that it's an Environmental Conservation Committee of the legislature that's holding things back. If it were left up to all legislators, he felt that it looked like it would go through. But to get it out of committee and get it in the hands of all the legislature, there might be a better chance. Is that the case, or?
Yes. Frankly, it's a very easy answer, and that's yes. Where we have our holdup is no bill makes it to the floor without a committee chairman putting it on the committee chairman owns the agenda. So right. If the chairman will not put it on the agenda, it will not move.
Yeah, that seems to be a major.
Even the committee can't vote on it.
Yeah.
So we have to go to the committee chairman, but what we have today that went in 2014 was not supported by the committee chairman.
Well, what we have in 2014, since 2014, was not legislatively sponsored. It was sponsored by, it was included in the governor's executive budget, and that's how it got
Yep.
through.
Yes, but there is still the committee involved in the budget process.
Right.
The committee was saying absolutely not. We're not discussing this. What we wound up, what we have today was created because we had enough people going to leadership and enough majority members of the assembly going to leadership and saying, we need to make a move on this. And I hate to speak names, but Sheldon Silver said, with 48 hours left in the budget process, you are not going to sit on this. You are going to compromise. We're going to come up with something. Because they had heard from enough people. If we can get enough of the other legislators on our side, which we are growing support over the years, we have grown major support in our side. Last year it was in the budget, and it was very hot and heated discussions over this in the budget. They didn't, and we had the majority of the legislators upstate on our side. Everybody else in the Hudson Valley was on our side. We're split on Long Island. New York City, as everybody knows, is a totally different game. But with all of that support, we have not convinced leadership to overrule the committee chairman yet. With these videos, we now have a sponsor who's going door to door, legislator to legislator, and talking to them and saying, here is the truth of the narrative. You're hearing bow hunters don't want this. You want to find, here's all these videos of all these bow hunters that say, wait a minute, I support this. Who's telling you bow hunters don't support this? We have bow hunters that are 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We have bow hunter instructors, and they're taking those messages one-on-one and growing addition to the people are, you're never going to, there's certain people you'll never get. There's downstate anti-hunters you will never touch, period. They're against anything to do with hunting. There's fence sitters, and they're going to those people. And the more of those that we gain, they start pushing leadership. And when the majority of the people start talking to the leadership, we have a chance to get them to make a move. To me, this is a house of cards. You can take a house of cards and you can pull a card out from the bottom every once in a while. You can find the right card to pull. If you pull the right card, the house crumbles. I believe you're in that position today with the growth in the support we have, but it's going to take people are getting frustrated. They're backing off. They're saying, we'll never win. So why am I supporting this? Why do we even bother? The opposition wins when people do that. It's no different than voting. Why do I vote? My vote doesn't count. If you counted the number of people that have that position and you added them to the voting numbers, the whole thing would change. The whole outcome would change. With people that come and go because they get well, I'm not wasting my time talking to legislators anymore. It doesn't help. The opposition wins. They only have to keep their little stronghold. But if everybody came out of the woodwork, like as they should, we own this narrative. We can change this, but it's up to the people.
Yeah. Do you think trying to get additional support from, say, veterans and people, the American disabilities, in other words, American with disabilities group are very strong when it comes to providing opportunities, fair and equal opportunities, which Crossbows would provide. and which the legislature seems to turn a blind eye toward, at least so far, that these groups would provide so much opportunity for their constituents, both veterans. Veterans have returned from active duty with arm, shoulder, and back injuries and so forth that never allowed them, or that will never allow them to shoot a bow, a recurve, or a compound. Yet, a crossbow would be the answer. And I would think that both veterans groups and Americans with disabilities, that's the law of the land now. And there's no reason why support couldn't come from those types of people, because it does provide, a crossbow use provides. Let me give you an example. I bow hunted for 59 years in New York with both recurve and later compound bows. And 59 years, I lost my vision in my right eye due to age-related macular degeneration. So I switched to shooting left-handed in 2014, the first year that we had a crossbow. And yet, from 2014 to the present, and in previous years, many previous years, my success rate with the compound bow is far greater than my success rate with the crossbow. And why is that? Because it's simple. We have, this past fall, we had 50 days, a 50-day window of opportunity with a compound bow during, the early bow season in the southern zone. We had 14 days with the crossbow, and the difference is just phenomenal. Opportunities over 50 days, good and bad weather and so forth. They talk about the crossbow being so easy. Well, it's not so easy. I've had about 7 years of experience with the crossbow and 59 years of bow seasons in New York, and it's not a big difference. A crossbow is not a primitive weapon, a modern crossbow, but neither is the compound bow. Compound bow I used for years. I used recurves before that. And the compound bow is a very highly efficient, highly effective hunting tool, without question. And my experience is when somebody from New York bow hunters tells me that the crossbow is so easy, they are dead wrong. I've got many, many years of experience. I've shot 100 whitetail bucks with bow, gun, and compound bow, recurve bow for many, many years before that. And there's no question that in my mind that the compound bow I wound up with, my last compound bow was a Matthews compound bow that was superb. And recurves I used for years and years and years, and they too were very effective also. But crossbows are not the answer to everyone's prayer if they're going to go out there and shoot at 50 yards and 60 yards and so forth. But like the compound bow, they were very effective. And yet there's opportunities for people with disabilities, for veterans returning from active duty that have had injuries and so forth. And I think if those people are tapped in support, I think things would fly. And I'm concerned, and in talking with Jeremy Hirsch recently, he has indicated that biologically, of course, the compound bow would actually enhance management strategies and management in especially Westchester County, Long Island, and more settled areas of the state. It would provide them with greater opportunities biologically to manage the state's deer herd. And, you know, it appears that all these things pulled together would be a vast opportunity to push for the crossbows. And I'm a long-term bow hunter, but I support the use of crossbows because I think it's the fair, equal, and the right thing to do.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna tell you right now that, and I totally agree with everything you've said. We have support letter from Veterans of Foreign Wars.
You do.
We reached out to the American Legion.
That's great.
Not got the official document back from them because that has to happen in July, and the guy was supposed to get me everything. They have resolutions to support crossbows. Unfortunately, they can only support it for veterans because their charter says they only do this and that. They're not out there. But we do have support from that. We have groups, we have support from many handicap hunting organizations. We have support from many women's hunting organizations. This has not yet resonated with legislators, but we do reach out. We have support from the Audubon Society. They signed on last year. Nature Conservancy, New York Forest Owners Association. We reach out to all the different, anybody who deer impact. And
how about Americans with
Impact.
Disabilities? They're a strong organization.
we have not reached out to that physical organization yet. Problem though with going for, there are people that believe we should not go legislative. We need to take them to court over disabilities.
I think you could, and I think you'd win.
Well, but we would win, but only for a segment.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing you would win is, what does the American Disabilities Act say? You must create a reasonable accommodation for people with disabilities.
Right.
When
And crossbow would do that.
Well, when I started this in 2012, there was a video, the New York bow hunters went in front of the Senate Assembly Committee the year that they flipped the Senate. And they said, many states have already tried this with disabilities. Draw lock has been ruled in courts. It's a reasonable accommodation.
Far different than the crossbow.
I agree, but the court, we're going against law. It's been a long time. You could litigate it again. You might win, but they aren't going to tell you all the 200-pound limit. Well, that's not a reason. You don't need that for a reasonable accommodation. You don't need to eliminate 14-inch, 17-inch widths for reasonable accommodation.
Yeah.
Could get a very small segment of this. And if we force it through the courts, will the legislature ever listen to us again?
Yeah, I'm not advocating
Dilemma
that's
we're
the way to
against.
go. I agree with you that the broader approach that we can get is a greater chance of getting things through.
I believe we have it, and I understand the frustrations. People are telling me how frustrated they are. Nobody can be more frustrated than me. I have done this since I started this in February as a Facebook group in February 3rd of 2012. I spend 10 to 30 to 40 hours a week working on this.
I'm sure you have.
Tell me they're frustrated. You guys don't know what frustration is. You give up, I don't. That's what I tell them. You guys back away and you say it's not worth it, it's not worth the fight. I say it's worth the fight, but we need to engage. Let me ask you specifically a question. How many people do you think in New York State hunt with a crossbow?
How many?
Yep.
I have no idea at this present time.
Just take a rough guess. How many hunters do we have in New York State? How many bow hunters do we have in New York State?
We probably, let's see, when I was in the department, I could tell you to the nearest 50 probably, but that's been a long time since I've been in the department. There's probably currently bow hunters in New York State number, let's see, probably 400,000. Is that right?
Just use a number. If we have 400,000 bow hunters, what percentage of bow hunters oppose crossbows?
Very small percentage.
Okay, let's give them 100,000 of those 400,000. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have 300,000 that support us. Where are they? If we had those 300,
There's a silent majority.
last year we had almost 1,900 members. Where are those other people? If that 300,000, if half of those 300,000 spoke out, it'd be a done deal. If a quarter of those people spoke out, it'd be a done deal. But they complain, they're Facebook commandos, they type all kinds of trash, but where are they when we need help? I'm not writing a letter, it doesn't waste my time. You'll spend hours complaining to people, but you won't take 10 minutes to write a letter. You won't take 2 minutes to make a video.
I certainly would.
Sportsmen are their own enemies. If you will, go to our webpage, nycrossbowcoalition.com, and there's a link of what to do and how to get it to us. The more of those we have, and this is why I'm here today. We need the writers to publish this and get this message out and this word out. We own this narrative if people will come out of the woodwork, if people will just step forward, if 10% of them will step forward and do what we're asking. And it's not we're asking. We have been asked by legislators to get this message out, and we are the conduit to them to get those videos to them. 10% of the people that want this, actually 1% of the people that want this, can turn the tide. But we need people to help us spread that message. That's why I'm here. You are the people that can help me spread that message. My major conduit is outdoor news. Not
Right.
And I appreciate them. I can't advertise in every in every newspaper out there. I have to advertise because my budgets are limited. I have to advertise where I know that I'm at least hitting a major segment of the people that support us. You as writers, putting it out there can drive them to look at our webpage, can drive them to help us get this through.
I agree, and I haven't just sat by the sidelines either. Several years ago, the Columbia County Federation contacted me and asked me to do a piece on for publication in New York Outdoor News, and I wrote the material called "The Truth About Crossbows," and it cited various things in the past and right up until that point. And that page, full page ad was taken out by the Columbia County Sportsmen, and they paid for it. And I wrote the piece, and it was sent to all legislators by our county federation secretary. And that was right around the time when it was right around 2014 in that neighborhood when the first Crossbow season got through.
Yeah. Well, please don't take me saying that everybody here is sitting on the sidelines. I know everybody's working. And,
Right.
And I appreciate that. The one thing I would ask is when that stuff, because before I started this, I worked with different organizations trying to get a lot of things through. When I saw the video where New York Bow went in and said, "We're here to speak for all bow hunters in New York State," I said, "Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You speak for a membership." And I realized when I go into with an organization, we go in and we talk about 10 or 15 things to a legislator. When you walk out, they say, "What were they here for?" I can't remember. I created the organization because we need a spearhead. We walk into a room, we walk out, guess what? They know why we're here, because we're not talking about 30 things. We're talking about one. And I think right there has really made this whole thing starting to work. The one thing I would ask, if anybody does write an article, please send us a link to that so we can share it on our Facebook page and with everybody else to show we have lobbyists. We have a lobbyist that works for us, and we have contacts in Albany. And if we share all these articles, they share it with legislators who then take that and say, "Oh, look, here's another group, here's another writer, here's another section that are pushing for this." We need to row the boat together, and we need to row the boat in the same direction.
Right.
Or at least similar directions. But we also need to work together and show everybody that we do have, it's not just a piece here and a piece there. It is a movement. And that's what I would ask that people help us make that happen. I'm going to ask for one
Can I
quick.
jump in, please?
Okay, Steve, I do have to ask for a quick potty break. If you got something you don't need me for, I'll be right back.
What I've found is those videos are very effective. At my sportsman's club, I did the request for guys to do the videos. 30 seconds is all it takes. I was all set. I had 2 guys to do the videotaping with their cell phones after the meeting. Not one of those 30 members came up and said, "Hey, I'm ready to do the video." So although my club has sponsored the video, has supported Crossbows, voted to support Crossbows, not one of those members came up and did it. So next week I go to Conservation Council, Schenectady. There's about 10 of us there. And once again, I said, "We need these videos for Crossbow." You know, they're all nodding their heads, yes. We get all done. Nobody wants to do it. So finally I said, how about if we as a group sit here, the ECO doesn't want to be political, he'll do the videotaping with his cell phone, and these guys all did it. I had a little script written out. The president of the Conservation Council, he read, you know, how many guys are bow hunters? How many guys have bow hunted 20 years, 40 years, 50 years? How many support Crossbows? And so that's how I got it done. My point of what I'm trying to make is most of these people are older and they're not really slick and quick with the technology. So when you ask them to make a video, a selfie, they're very reluctant to do it. But if I sit down with them one-on-one, there's no problem. They love it. It's over. All of a sudden they say, "Geez, let's do that again because I didn't like the way I looked here. I didn't like the way I moved this word." And then all of a sudden I got the videos done. So that's just what I wanted to say is if we can get out there and get 2 individuals one-on-one almost, we'll get more videos off to Rick. The last thing I want to say, because I got to go to my 8 o'clock meeting, is to get the members to go to the New York Crossbow Coalition webpage and find out just exactly what you do, what you want to say in the video, and then where to send it, the link to get it over to New York Crossbow Coalition. So that's it for tonight, gentlemen. I got to go elsewhere with my next barrage of sounds.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to just say that anybody, if any of you have any questions about what we're looking for, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. Contact information's on the website. I don't mind phone calls. I don't publish my address, my phone number, but if somebody sent me an email and said, hey, I would like to talk to you about this. You want to talk to me about any of the issues for any articles or anything else, you just want opinion. I'm not looking to put my name in the paper. I'm looking to pass information along. Send me an email. Tell me you want me to call it. You want to talk. We will hook up because it's important. We got to work together to get this through. Like I said, it's everybody rowing the boat in the same direction, working together.
Sounds good.
So Rick, I sent you that thing yesterday about the National Deer Alliance. Did you
Yes.
know about that beforehand? Or you know,
No,
is that-
I didn't. I have not digested the whole thing. I did send it on to the lobbyist. She pointed out one very important part. On top of this, everybody's got to understand, I work a full-time job. I'm an electrical engineer. We had the last 2 days at work have been pretty bad. I was stuck at work until after 8 o'clock Monday. Last night it was after 9:30. Come back in and they finally had things back to working. And on top of that, the one thing we have to do with them, Dan, is they promoted that was pointed out to me. They're promoting the Senate bill, which is good. But our problem is in the Assembly. They've asked people, they're talking to people to reach out to senators. Our major roadblock is Assembly members. So I need to get to them and say, hey, we need you to understand there's 2 bills here, and working on the side that normally supports us, that we can get everything through, doesn't really help us as much as telling people to contact Assembly members to get this through. But I was not aware. I do know last year they wrote a very strong letter in support of the budget bills that were in. And in one of the bow hunter, their quarterly magazines, they had a scathing rebuttal to NDA that you people need to stay out of New York politics because you have nothing to do with New York politics. And we know you've lost a lot of members over that article. Well, we know that New York Bow has lost a lot of members over their stance on crossbows. So one hand washes the other, I guess. But we have to.
Well, one thing I'll say about them is, and this kind of reminded me of this, and I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I remember when I saw their email, and it's really what kicked off the whole changing the hours for deer hunting by half an hour each side. It was them that, it was the state, the guys in New York State, NDA, that started pushing for it, and they have a seat at the table with DEC. Now I know that doesn't help with the legislation, but they do have some pull with DEC. They've got a seat at the table. They're doing management work on WMAs, and they've got some things going on, and their poll, I think, helped that a lot. Now the legislation is different, and but
they have they can help drive the narrative.
yeah, certainly can.
I will be reaching out to them and asking them to talk to their members about the assembly bills. Also, the assembly bill also, because actually Kerry Warner's had that bill in for 4 years. This is Mannion's first year carrying it. It's good for him to get the publicity that he's picking it up. But again, we need the support. We need people supporting us in the assembly, and need their memberships contacting the assembly more than we need them contacting this as much, if not more than the assembly or the Senate, I mean. And I do appreciate their support on this. I'm not knocking what they've done. We just need to help work with them to help us elevate the discussion.
Good.
All right, cool. Yeah, this is great, Rick.